All right, good afternoon, everyone. Well, let's go ahead and call to order the July 28th meeting of the Preston County Commission. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Were you here for Tom Adams?
Thank you.
I thought so.
All right, let the record show you that all three commissioners present, Commissioner Stone, Commissioner Price, Commissioner Smith. Thank you. And one person from the public who should be recognized, and I am going to probably butcher your name, Anthony. So,
Ludovici.
what is it?
Ludovici.
Ludovici. Okay, Ludovici. Yeah. Let's see here. Did you wish to address?
Oh, no, I'm just here to observe. I didn't.
Okay, no, that is fine. I just thought I'd ask. Right over here. All right, so that brings us down to the review of the bills.
Make a motion to approve the bills as they have been properly presented to the meeting.
Second.
Motion for and a second to approve the bills. And pay them. Commissioner Stone.
Yes.
Commissioner Price.
Yes.
Yes. And now it's down to the assessor with the tax correction list and some apportionments. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sorry.
Actually,
good
afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah. I said it to start.
It feels
and
like
this
morning.
time it's
Yeah.
Weird, isn't it?
I
I have it.
I just have a couple of corrections and a long filing, in the amount of $825.28.
I make a motion to approve the tax correction list for Jennifer Klosner, Carly Dixon, and Isaiah Kosis, however you say that, for in the amount of $825.28.
Motion for and a second to approve the tax correction list. Commissioner Stone.
Yes.
Commissioner Price.
Yes.
Yes. Apportionments.
I have two apportionments today, Rodney and Tammy Nichols and Craig and Karen Schmidt.
Make a motion to approve the apportionments for Rodney and Tammy Nichols and Craig and Karen Schmidt.
Second.
Motion for and a second to approve the apportionments. Commissioner Stone.
Yes.
Commissioner Price.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for July 6th, 2021 and July 13th, 2021.
Second.
Motion for and a second to approve the minutes. Commissioner Stone.
Yes.
Commissioner Price.
Yes.
Yes.
We have proceedings and vacation from the clerk, July 15th through 21st, 21. We'll have to approve those.
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second to approve and enter in the record of proceedings of vacation. Commissioner Price.
Yes.
Commissioner Stone.
Yes.
Yes.
We have a estate settlement list that's lengthy from the clerk's office. And they include Adams, Boyard, Salona, Daly Jr., Gidley Jr., Luzier, McConnell, Peasley, Smouse, and Wetzel. I move we approve those.
Second.
Commissioner Coleman, second to approve the estate settlements. Commissioner Price.
Yes.
Commissioner Stone.
Yes.
Yes. We do have an estate settlement.
We have this estate settlement, Edith Wilburn, report of receipts, disbursements, distribution, affidavit filed by Denise Wilburn, administrators, and that is a 30-day estate settlement. And I'm assuming we just show that, let the record show that we received it.
I think that is correct.
I don't know. But my motion will be to accept and approve it.
Board a second to approve and accept this state settlement. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Yes. Fiduciary Commissioners report from Mr. Woodrow Turner.
Let the record show that we received.
Second.
Commissioner Coleman, second, that we accept and we receive the Fiduciary Commissioners report. Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Yes. No old business and no new business. That doesn't bring us down to the administrator's report. Ms. Kathy Mace.
Okay, the first item we have is your MOU agreement with the Preston County Board of Education as it relates to your school-based law enforcement resource officer. The board approved this agreement at their meeting on Monday. There really are no changes other than dates of acceptance, as well as, I'm unclear if his start time was at 7:30 a.m. Under the other contract, but it begins at 7:30 and goes till 3:30. It's highlighted in yellow here. I'm uncertain. I really didn't have time to go back and look at the other one. But as far as obligations and contractual binding items, they remain the same. Salary information has been exchanged with the Board of Education. Their amount that they have is sufficient to what the officer will remain as Mark Lewis. I'm unsure of his rank, but that's who, to the best of my knowledge, will be at the high school. So I just ask that the president be authorized to sign, and I will attest to his signature. Motion to authorize president to sign. Yes.
Make a motion to authorize the president to sign the MOU agreement for the school-based law enforcement resource officer at Preston High School.
Second.
Commissioner Coleman, second to authorize the president to sign this MOU. Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Pen, please. Oh, there's two places on. No, that's okay. If you just sign, I'll do date, title,
All right.
company, I'll type that in. That is, I did, just so you all know, that this particular position, it follows the teacher's calendar, so that you know that. Okay, the next I do have an update on the Bridge Street Bridge project. There was a meeting, I believe it was last Friday, between CSX, the Department of Highways, perhaps others there at the site. And if you remember, there was to be a meeting of the review committee on this project, and that was canceled because of a meeting with CSX. So I did speak with Sarah Runyon, who is in charge of bridges for the state, and that meeting was held. And following that discussion, we'd like to put together a meeting of all parties, which would be CSX, the town of Terre Alta, the county, and the Department of Highways, just to share information and also to perhaps look at the design and other things that might go along with that project. I think that she and I both agreed, and I believe CSX agrees, it's just better to get all parties at the table so there's no misunderstandings. Everybody's hearing the same information. So I've got two dates that I'd like you to take out of your calendar. That is August the 10th. I'd like to have a meeting around 1 or 2 p.m. on that date. And an alternative date would be August the 24th from same time, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. These are okay with the Department of Highways. Then she will get with CSX. So we wanted to give them a couple of dates there in August so that we can have a meeting. I have reached out to the town of Terre Alta and talked with Mayor this morning and requested that when we hold the meeting that they present all documents that they have as it relates to the Bridge Street Bridge. Anything that they have in their archives, anything that, any kind of correspondence from whatever agency they've had correspondence with. I requested that they provide that. I've given him these 2 dates as well. The other thing is that when I talked to Ms. Runyon today, I requested, she is going to reach out to CSX. I'm reaching out to our local, and she's going to reach out to them because she has her counterpart in CSX. And I've requested that CSX also bring to the table all documents, anything they have archived, any conversation that they have had about the Bridge Street Bridge. I can look in our record keeping to see if the county would have anything as it relates to the Bridge Street Bridge. But I think it's really important that this has been out there for a long time, and to try to expedite the process, that we get as much information at this meeting so that some kind of plan of action can move forward. So I will get back to you just as soon as I can. Once I can confirm with her that those 2 dates are okay with you all, then I will, she's going to reach out to CSX. Those 2 okay with you?
I'm looking, I haven't looked yet.
Well, I need you to.
Definitely the 10th is good.
The 10th is definitely good, I'm not sure about the next one, but I haven't looked at the calendar.
I can make the 24th work.
Can you make the 24th work there, Dave, do you think? Well, just get back to me.
Yes, I can make the 24th work.
Okay, perfect.
That's a meeting day, yeah.
That's a meeting day. I'm trying to keep everything that you have as a meeting day. Time is uncertain at this time, but
Thank you.
doing my best to keep it around 1, 2 o'clock.
Okay, good here.
And I would clear your calendar because it could take some time. Yes, yes. Next item I have is your carryover for, Kathy, you want a copy? This is, you don't need to have that, hotel motel, hold on a second. Let me make sure you have both things. About that today. That's budget revision for today. Connie, would you like one?
Yes, please.
That budget revision you may not want, but.
Thank you.
Okay, so basically what you have before you is, you'll see that the cash balance that we had at the end of June, then you add your certificate of deposit, and that's actually the cash that you have at the end that you have to work with. Of course, right off the top comes your carryover, which is 1.5 million. Then you have outstanding purchase orders, you have payroll payables, you have the statewide computer network, you have reserved aftermarket funds, then you have EMS, and you have other hotel motel. Those are items that you have that cannot be considered to be used to allocate those funds out. So that gives you $737,895. That is a significant amount. Last year we had about 400. I think one of the reasons, and it's interesting because I was at a meeting earlier this morning where they had much more carryover than they have had in other years, and I think it comes from a variety of places. One for us is several things were canceled last year, so we didn't have people traveling as much. We weren't going as many places. We were ultra conservative on the amount of money that we thought you would have left over because of COVID. We were unsure about your tax collections. So that we had some vacancies that were not filled, and another one is your general school. We had significant collections in general school. They were running you between 30 and 60, and they came in at over 100,000. So those are some of the things that might add to this being a more significant carryover than in the past years. Now, what do you have actually you can spend? If you'll go to the next page, which is your budget revision that I'm asking for your consideration today. Basically, you'll see your fund balance, which is what you have to allocate. You have to reduce that right off the bat by those payroll payables. So they were about $16,046, I believe. So that gives you $721,849. Then the first one is a PO. In fact, I could just stay on that for a moment there to start tomorrow. That is for some repointing and repairs to the courthouse that we've been waiting for since December. So we're all going to get that done. The other is your vehicle aftermarket. This is items that cannot use. These have to go from year to year because this is what you use when you purchase a vehicle for the things that go inside that vehicle, which are, for law enforcement, it's like the cage and those kind of things. So you keep that pot of money for new vehicles. The statewide computer network, this is a new one for us this year, and one of the reasons is the statewide computer network is sending us bills for 1 year ago. That's how far there are back on their collections, is 1 year. However, this year we got a letter to say that we're gonna get those caught up, and when we get them caught up, you gotta pay the whole amount. So basically, I had to guesstimate that that's gonna happen in this year.
Okay.
So I had to double about what we're paying, so that's
That makes
why that is. That EMS, the next item is that EMS, and we keep that over for folks. And of course, your hotel motel is always reserved.
Right.
That's something that you cannot spend. Now, the next item, so I put the remaining money for your consideration in your contingencies, which is $582,735. You have approximately $124,110 currently in your budget at March. That's what you had in contingencies. By adding this in, that brings your contingencies to about 8%. The state of West Virginia allows 10%, so we're well within that figure. And also, it has been, we always like to have at least 5, and we were well below that. So this gives you about 8. Also, that is a place where you can move that money at any time. We like to have that for unexpected expenses, things that may come up during the year that you do not have in your budget. So that's for your consideration, the budget request of the carryover. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you for the spreadsheet too, to break it down too, gives the actual final amount and everything, so.
I'd just like to note that, I mean, we have a lot of things, that have been brought to our attention by various office holders, and we're taking a real hard look at, where we can and what we can do. And so before anybody really comes forward, just know that we are working diligently to figure out on requests that have come by, to us in the past. So that's something that we're working on.
Right, and one thing that I am preparing for you, we do have, if you remember, each year we whittle down your maintenance buildings and grounds. And we do need to look at what's before you. And what's before you is you are now in a position where you're gonna have to start looking at repainting, at reflooring, not only this building, but that building over there and the courthouse, because we did that project probably about eight years ago, maybe 9 years ago. So you're more than halfway through that performance contract, and we're seeing the age of, especially your commons areas in the painting and that kind of stuff. So that's one area. Also, Mark and I are going over your maintenance items to make sure that we're not missing anything there. You have a significant maintenance project past what Keystone's doing now on the other side. We've had that back section of the courthouse blocked off since January. And they are going to inspect that for me when they're there. You have a structural issue that we're going to look at this Friday. Unclear about what that's going to be. We can go back and you might want to go back into your budget documents and look at those requests that you had from office holders. I think we met every office holder's request other than the salary increases that they brought forward. But I think everything else, it has been budgeted. But if you need any more information or something you want me to look at, but really the contingencies, probably the most appropriate place because it gives you the flexibility that you need, and other people may have some other things that have come along. March is can be a long time ago and can be real short too. So some of the needs that we have may not be exactly what we had in March. So any questions for me? Do you have any budget revisions? I think this is the only budget revision that I have for you today.
I make a motion to approve the budget revision as it's been presented.
Second.
Motion floor and a second to approve the budget revision. Commissioner Stone?
Yes.
Commissioner Price?
Yes.
Yes.
On your miscellaneous correspondence, I did reach out to the city of Kingwood today, and Mr. Wolf's gonna get back to me about that sewer project up there at the animal shelter. Also, I provided to you, I think that, you will see after your work session, on your ordinances, I sent those out, we had a few corrections, I think I made those all in red. So I provided you a hard copy today. So if you could take some time and review that, just to make sure there wasn't anything I forgot. On the, I didn't know if my clarification of that complaint form, was what you were looking for, Dave. You didn't get back to me, I don't think. Yeah. So you want to look at that. You know, we could, I mean, if we're gonna have this on the track for first reading, I would really, to be honest with you, prefer to have the first reading on August 10th, only because I've been gone, and this is a very short week. I have interviews all day tomorrow for your animal shelter, and I have 3 meetings on Friday, so,
The 10th is fine.
I prefer to have the first reading on the 10th.
That is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, anything else for me?
Not that I'm aware of. Brings us down to the miscellaneous comments from the commissioners. Commissioner Stone, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Got a couple things. First of all, we just are back from our County Commissioners Association of West Virginia conference. Was our annual training with the auditor's office. A lot of good information on the funding that we've received from the American Recovery funding. And I don't know, my hope is that we continue to see funding come in from this that'll continue to help us, but right now we know what we have to work with, and we've had a lot of requests coming in. There was some clarity on how we can utilize some of these funding, or some of the funding, but we're also looking at some questions we still need to get answered. So we're waiting on the feedback from the questions that we asked at the conference of the auditor's office. They'll be getting some things back to us on that. Kathy's got some meetings with some of them so that we can get everything set up and scheduled to go. But it was a good training. I feel like it was a very beneficial training to go to, because there are a lot of rules and restrictions that come along with the funds that come in. So some things that we thought we knew the answer to, we were incorrect. And so it's very good to know that we have, just sat tight and waited for the information that we need so that we do right by, all of this money that's coming in.
And one of the biggest, not to interrupt, but one of the biggest questions we still consider or asked is, can these funds be matching funds when there's already federal funds involved with this? Because almost every water, sewer, almost everything has some stream of federal funding, and so far, no is the answer. The expectation is they may change their mind.
Well, we're hopeful. The final rules should come out in the next 2 weeks, and it is something that they got lots and lots of input about. So, we're gonna wait. The auditor's office promised that he would let me know as soon as possible on when the final rule comes.
That's the big question.
The big
Anybody
question
who's
is-
involved with any of these projects, when they see that, that's the first thing they'll ask, and
Right.
we don't know yet, but.
Before I move on, do you have anything else to add for the conference, John?
No, I just think, I agree, it's very good information that we got. It's the information, especially from the auditor,
Time well
was
spent.
very timely and very good. They gave us a lot of information on websites to go to and things like that to figure out some different formulas and things like that, so we can figure out what exactly to do with the funding and what we can do with the funding. We're going to continue to keep pushing that out to us, so hopefully as they get more answers, like I said, we're supposed to be getting that final ruling from the Treasury, U.S. Treasury, so we can figure out what can and can't be spent on what. So,
All right, well, the next thing is that I continue to receive a lot of calls concerning those people that just fall in the gap for public service, for water and different things. You know, they're real close to this person and real close to that person, but they're not being serviced because neither people will pick them up. And so that's something that I'm continuing to work on. One of the ladies that live out on Route 92 has been trying for years to get the Newburgh to come out and, you know, take in that group of people. And just some basic phone calls that Kathy had with some people that she had made, found that it's not even Newburgh's territory, it's PSD2, which is now Kingwood.
Well, there are some areas that actually are not served. And part of those are very, very close to two entities. And so, you know, mapping is very important, and that's one thing that we really need to get clarity on. As we move forward with the meeting with the PSC, Newburgh, Marcus, I think that you will see that will bring us lots of clarity. I've asked for maps, I've asked for, to make sure that we know where the territories actually are. Because there are some areas that are just not anything.
Right.
So, some think they're PSD number 2, some think perhaps they're Newburgh. So I think that'll bring us lots of clarity. My hope was to have that in August. I'm gonna try my best for that, but many people are still vacationing, and I think that we may need to push that along a little bit more. It seems like when kids get back into school, things settle down a little bit better and more people are available. But I'll try my best to get that. That's a lot of parties. I think the location that I'm, with your permission, that we'll use is the election center. I think it's a great place to have this kind of dialogue where you can spread out if we need to, but also be able to, we have that big TV to do any kind of presentation that we need. So I'll get back to you a date on that one, and hopefully we'll get more clarity about who serves who, and maybe get an update from those folks of how their projects are
I
proceeding.
think from what to continue with what Samantha said, I think that every water provider, from the calls I get or the conversations, every water provider in the county has requests for service beyond their borders or whatever their service areas. So, you know, and that includes towns, you know, Terrata, Kingwood, of course, Newburgh is extended out, and I was just on the phone last week with one for PSD1, and that was up in the Houseville area. And these people were right in between PSD2, PSD1, and they were unserved.
Unserved.
So PSD1 looks at it like maybe they would be the ones to be able to do it, but then they have to do their engineering, see if they have the tank capacity or if it's in the right place to provide the pressure. You know, there's a lot to it besides just putting the land.
And one of the big things at our meeting was about really having dialogue about the American Recovery money, because even branching out where it may take all of us putting our money together to get a project to completion. That's why it's really important that we know who is closest. They may be actually coming from another county, Taylor County, Barber County, someone like that. So I think that
the
we move
towns
along.
need to be part of that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I predict in the very near future that we're going to have more meetings about, as we stress infrastructure projects, with a plethora of people to see what they're going to use their money for. We're trying to facilitate another meeting there in September to bring back the parties of the municipalities and the county, as we did before with the auditor. So I am trying to schedule something with that again. And they book up pretty fast, so I want to get our knitting in there.
Well, and they've encouraged us at these meetings to take your time, slow down, check the landscape to see who all, and so these meetings, I think, are absolutely critical to be able to see how we can work together on, because nobody by themselves has the money to do.
Well, even with the funding, $6 million, you're like, that opened up and came from the heavens above. However,
It's not enough to do.
when you're approaching $50 million in requests, and you have 6 million to work with.
Right.
We've got to make sure that we're very smart in how we go about using it to get the most bang for our buck.
And there may be more infrastructure money that may be in the
I think it's
pipeline.
also real important that the state has not really given us a lot of direction on how they're going to use their portion and where they're going to put what percentage out and what kind of projects would be eligible. If that's something that we have to apply for, or is that something that's going to be done by population disbursement, whatever.
Yeah.
Some of the
So-
commissioners I talked
something.
to are going after some of that money.
Right.
Well, absolutely, and I think that they, that's our dialogue is, are they a partner? Who all are your partners?
And I think the state should be. I mean, we don't want to commit money to a project out of those funds if the state is planning a project that they're going to fund in our area,
And we're surrounded by some, more wealthy, that don't have the federal component, that aren't looking for that federal dollar for just their regular projects. And, those, we just want to make sure that the state understands that we want to be a part of the mix, because those become easier to fund because you don't have to worry about
Right.
that federal component. So we just want to make sure that we keep our dialogue active and folks know that, we're very, very interested in partnering with the state.
But those monies that were given by the federal government to the state then would be passed through, so it would have that federal component.
I'm waiting on the final rule. Let's see how that works in.
I don't think that rule will ever be final. From what we're seeing, I think that it will be final as of a certain date, and then they'll change and add to. I think that'll be a moving target. But, I mean, we're still anxious to hear something solid besides the guesswork. I really don't think that when they say the final rule, I don't think that'll be final, but
They'll change stuff as it is.
Yeah.
You-
They have to,
Commissioner
probably.
Stetton?
A couple other things that I have been working on, and I have had some good things come of it. Stone Hollow, I've been out there numerous times over the last couple of years with some issues on the road out there in the southern part of the county. And also had some of the residents reaching out to me, asking, what have you heard, what have you heard, what have you heard? And so finally, Blaine Bomar has gotten back with me with some good news. And sometimes when he's not getting back to me, it's because he doesn't have anything to give to me yet. And so, but he did reach back out, and Stone Hollow is set and scheduled to be paved mid-September of this year, 2021. So those residents are certainly going to be thrilled with that. Now, one thing Blaine has also shared with me, because that's always my question, and he knows it, is when they say it's going to be paved, are you going to do maintenance to the road before it's paved? Because, that always hasn't been the practice in the past. So it is set to be done, and I'm assuming that will be ditched and everything done prior to that. So excited about that, Stone Hollow. Also, I received a very good phone call yesterday from Donna Clark. If you recall, a few weeks ago, she had reached out to our office. She's reached out to me. And then a couple weeks back, I talked with Kathy Plum about it. Kathy went out and drove it, and then I have been on it numerous times. And so just to give Commissioner Price an idea of what I do in my spare time, I'm like, come with me, let's go take a look at this road. And we drove out to Beach Run one day after a meeting and drove clear through to Hudson Road. And while we were going down in there, we actually saw the Clarks sitting on their porch. And so we stopped and spoke with them, probably a good half hour we were there at least. Well, Donna called yesterday, and she is ecstatic with the road work and the corrections that are being made to the road. Beach Run is set to be paved, the first half up into the graveyard from the Teeters campground in. But that second part of the road, there was just a lot of washouts where it were causing low-profile cars and SUVs even to bottom out. And so she's ecstatic with those corrections. The only thing that she says now that the road is better, she looks for the ATV and the UTV traffic to pick back up and continue to do their donuts and cause issues. So she's a little disgruntled by that, but nonetheless very ecstatic about the repairs that have been made, and we're very thankful for the conversations that we had with them when we were out looking at that road. So that's good news. So we'll check that one off. We'll check Stone Hollow off. So a request came in to me to come out and just take a look, and I did I believe this was last week, go out to Glade Farm Road. And there's a section of the road out there where, I think it's called Moccasin, Run Road, I think is the name of the road that comes into Glade Farm. It's a cut across from Moyers to the Glade Farm. And went out and looked with the lady that has had the concerns. I guess with the S-turns, if you don't know that route, you don't know those turns are there, and it's causing people to go into a yard where kids are playing, and poles have been clipped numerous times and broken off and wrecks. And so they said that in the past, they've tried multiple times to get the DOH to come take a look at it and to install signs warning people, because the people, it's not the locals that are ending up in the yard. It's the folks that are crossing over from 26 to get to Big Bear Lake. It's Glade Farm comes right in out there at Hazelton, where you just cross the bridge and go up to Big Bear. So with that, I did take that complaint. I went out, took some pictures with the lady, took the information to our local DOH, and got a message back from Blaine on that one that he took the people out that take care of that, and that those requested curve signs will be installed here in the near future on that. I believe it's County Route 5. So that is being done. Also, one of the things that I took to Blaine was the Route 92 there in Arthurdale that passes by the West Preston Middle School is like a drag strip. Traffic of from all over flies through there, and it's only a 40 mile per hour when school's not in, but then the speed zone when students are in is even less. There's kids that walk to school that cross over from the Arthurdale community to the school that cross that Route 92 in the morning and afternoon, and the cars just don't slow down. So what I was asking, and I had gotten a letter of support from the sheriff and some other people and submitted to the state, but they did go out. He took the traffic engineer out to that area, and he did say that the way the road is, it doesn't allow, because you cannot put like a speed bump on a highway like that. But he said what maybe we can do, and I have to find out, is maybe paint the white lines on the road that appear that they're speed bumps. That way it'll catch people's eyes and they'll slow down. Because they have just school zone signs up and that it's a reduced speed zone, but people aren't seeing it. They're just busting on through there. And so what I was wanting to have happen, which they can't paint the lines, was that they put up the flashing lights that come on and actually flash during those times when children are present. And that can be done, but it cannot be done at the expense of, because it is currently marked with the everything that it should be, but it can't be done. It has the speed limits for the school zone. The Board of Ed has to request the flashing lights, but they also have to pay for them. So I'm gonna make a point to get on the agenda at the Board of Ed office and see if we can maybe get the Board of Ed party and the DOH parties at the table to address that, because it is very dangerous. One of our deputies came out and patrolled that one day. And I mean, she could have written tickets to every person coming through there, and it was full of school buses. You know, what says slow down more than a loop full of school buses right on the road, and people just aren't doing it. And, you know, we don't have the manpower to man every school zone that's on a main highway in this county. But just something that I think would be very, very helpful would be the flashing, because there's a lot of commerce that travels that route. And a lot of people just don't realize till you're in the school zone that, oh my gosh, I'm going way faster than I should be going. If you don't know there's a school there, you don't know. So that's another thing that.
Those signs that show you the speed that you're going
Right.
have, I think, a pretty good effect on me.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I think that maybe it's the guy in front of me that's going.
So just some little things that I've gotten some feedback on, and we'll just continue to pound the pavement on those things, literally. So that's all that I have. Thanks, John.
Good.
Anything good?
Still working, have meetings scheduled with some brilliant ideas from our EMS people. So we continue that. And of course, we came across the Aurora Park yesterday, and they're making the preparations for
Yes,
the paving.
they were digging culverts and
Yeah.
working into cleaning the ditches and everything
That's
else.
pretty big, huge.
Which is good.
So anyway, that's all good. Weeds are really high.
Yeah.
I noticed in Tucker
A
County.
lot of places.
Tucker County was mowed down pretty nice.
They were mowing when I came back.
Yeah.
And I think too, you know, and you won't always hear me defending, but defending the DOH just a little bit, they put them out mowing before everything greens up and grows good. And so they've already kind of crossed some of those areas off that they mowed, but now is when they need mowed. And they've been
Well,
pulled off
they
of
run
all of those maintenance for projects to do these pothole blitzes.
Yeah, the pothole blitz probably took them off of any kind of mow.
It did, and they're, you know, working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, and, you know, taking volunteers to work extra on Sundays to catch up on some of that maintenance, so, yeah,
Still look better in Tucker County.
it is a lot better. That's a whole different district than what we were into.
Yeah, but we appreciate everything. It's not, I don't have anything for you today.
All right.
Any other things?
The only thing I have is, did we ever get anything back from, PSD2 / Kingwood Waterworks about, what we need to do to get that one, family off of PSD1 and add.
It's like 5 families.
Oh,
Yeah,
last
it's- well, it was initially 1, but it will end up being 5.
Yeah.
I think
And
we gave them the go-ahead.
we give
to-
everything we need, okay, I just want to make sure.
We're
if they
just
need
waiting
anything-
on our
I
next
just want to make
step.
sure they don't need anything else from us because the contractor's 41% done and they need to get it finished before they move their equipment, obviously, and they'll be done in September. So I just need to make sure if there's any holdup, you know.
I don't think it's on
if-
our
If there, well, I mean, I know it's not on our end, but I mean, if there's anything we can do to, if it needs shoved along at the PSC level up at the state, if there's anything we need to do to involve that, to make sure that gets taken care of before they move their equipment away.
Well, I just
Otherwise-
think it's a process and, you know, there's, you'll have to, as far as I know, to merge anything, which is a merger, to change territory, it takes a process of public notice, public hearings, so
Okay.
I
So
don't
that's
know that
on-
you could speed it up any more than we could.
Okay.
We have done everything to initial, to give them the go-ahead
Alright.
to start.
I thought we had, I
proceedings.
just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything out there that we didn't take.
If you
care
have
of.
information from the contractor, you might want to call Amy just to make sure they have that information if you talk with the contractor out there.
All right. Sounds good. That's all I had. Anything else? Like I said, being said, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you for coming. Did you need anything from me, sir?
Oh, no.
Okay.